becomes very evident is that the future is really now, because we're in 2026, and you can see that as of 2026, the young and working age population starts to accelerate quite fast. By 2030, sorry, my slides are moving themselves. As of 2030, I think, so we reach a point maybe just before 2030 where the working age population becomes the largest of any region in the world. I think that's the point I wanted to make. Let me turn very quickly and close out my remarks by talking about the financing environment and how we see it. I think we're all familiar with the story of external capital flows declining for the continent. This is important because Africa's development story over the last 4 or 5 decades has depended on aid, external aid, and other types of capital flows. And we can see that we're in a moment where I would say from a structural point of view, those flows are now greatly reduced and will probably fall even further. So if you look at ODA, Overseas Development Assistance, which is the dark blue, we can, that's fallen quite significantly to a point where as of 2025, we were basically at 2010 levels. And because of what's happening on a geopolitical front, we can expect that that will fall even further. Multilateral, all categories, I would argue, are falling quite significantly. There are lots of countries, Nigeria is one of them, that rely on the international bond market. And that's been a very volatile source of funding. Which brings us to the question of where the money will come from. Where will the money come from to offset the reduction in global funding? Our argument is that when we look at the amount of external capital that has flowed into the entire African continent, based on the categories that I just showed you, so external official and private capital, over the period of 2014 to 2024, the continent received $1.7 trillion in that sort of funding. That $1.7 trillion, interestingly, when we look at the resources that exist on the continent, whether it's banking assets and non-banking assets, is actually less than the total amount of savings that exist on the continent. So at the AFC, we've done a lot of work to understand domestic pools of capital because we think that they're a potential way to mitigate and somewhat offset the effect of the reduction in external capital flows, which is not changing, right? We can't change that reality. But I think what we can try to do is mobilize a bit more some of the capital pools that exist on the continent. So let me just explain this chart because I think it's really important for us to understand that there is capital on the continent. It's just not necessarily being directed into the real economy, into real investment opportunities. So the banking sector, I'll leave that alone for a second, but on the non-banking asset side, what we observe is there's almost $1 trillion, less than $1 trillion, but this is also a very conservative estimate. It's based on our own in-house work. In the pension sector, the insurance sector, those are really workers' savings, public development banks, sovereign wealth funds, and then there's a category of sovereign wealth funds. And then there's the informal sector, which we believe that if we actually sort of had some detailed analysis around that, could potentially dwarf the entire number. So what does it mean? We've done a bit more detailed work on these pools of capital and how to incentivize them to channel a small percentage, not all, even a tiny percentage towards the real economy, towards investing in SMEs, towards investing in infrastructure, could be hugely catalytic. So what we see is that on the left-hand side, we've got these pools of capital, as I mentioned. Commercial banks, the deposits tend to be liquidity-oriented, so not really a source. Development banks, like an AFC or a Frexim or a BOI, I think here there's a real opportunity to do medium to long-term investment that's focused on debt for development impact. Then, of course, we've got the sovereign wealth funds, microfinance, pension insurance. Now, on the other hand, you've got the opportunities in the real economy, opportunities to invest in infrastructure, in SMEs. And what we see as the real work of the moment is really around innovation, innovative finance. How do you incentivize some of these pools of capital to do more of that? We've actually done a mapping of what these pools of capital are doing, and we think a little bit of sort of reorientation into the real economy is needed. And how? Through developing the market infrastructure and the plumbing, through developing the risk toolkit that can, for example, allow a pension fund that's very focused on liquidity and safety to start to channel a little bit more of those savings into infrastructure opportunities. I think it's difficult to conceptualize, so let me give you an example of how that's working, and I'll end with this slide. Some of you in the room may be familiar with a company called InfraCredit. InfraCredit, when it started, was really sort of a revolutionary idea. It's been around since 2014, and it's an institution that AFC has invested equity in. We're not the only ones. We have lots of other partners, Ledway Insurance, the National Sovereign, Nigeria's NSI, Sovereign Wealth Fund, Infraco. We're all equity partners in this company. And the idea of setting up InfraCredit was really around how can we start to help or encourage the pension sector to do more investment in the real economy, channel a little bit more of their savings. So what InfraCredit does is it's a credit enhancement facility. It provides local currency guarantees for corporate infrastructure bonds and for other infrastructure bonds to help them attract pension funds into the sector. And that, I think, addresses the pension sector's sort of demand for safety, this sort of guarantee structure. But as a result of this company being in place, we've seen a significant increase in the amount of pension allocations to infrastructure, and that's illustrated on the right-hand side between 2015 and to date. But I would also stress that despite that significant increase, the share of pension allocation to the infrastructure sector is actually still quite tiny in Nigeria, which demonstrates the opportunity. So this is, I think, a really great place to end, because it's around how we can innovate as Africans within our constraints, and also remembering that we actually have some of our own resources which are potentially at play. They just need structures and market innovation in order to make those savings available for our development. I will end my remarks there, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's rise for the national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear nation. symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace all battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
You may seat. Ladies and gentlemen, a media entrepreneur, a master communicator, the founder of the MC Company. Please welcome our host, Oscar in the City, Oscar Oyisan.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Okay, I think we need to loosen up a bit. Please give the person next to you a high five and say it's great to be alive. Okay, are we good? The person to your right or to your left, does he or she look like someone with funds? So ask them, do you have the funds? Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have the funds, please rise. Security will escort you out, and we'll have no problem. Distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, captains of industry. We also have our development partners, representatives of the United Nations, leaders of government, members of civil society, innovators, investors, and the part that I love the most, entrepreneurs. Great to have each and every one of us here. Please, I just want you to just take a second to understand that you are part of history in the making for the 5th time. I'd love to welcome each and every one of you to ASIS 2026. This is the part where you clap, by the way. We want to make sure that the next 3 days are productive. I think it's fair to say, and I say this on behalf of everyone here, and I'm sure you'll all agree, that Africa does not lack ideas, correct? Africans are very talented, correct? I need to hear you, correct? And most importantly, Africans do not lack ambition. Is that the 3rd correct? So why are we here? Why are we here? Very simple. What Africa needs right now is where the bold ideas meet bold capital. And that was why I kicked off with, do you have the funds? The ideas and capital will converge over the next 3 days. You'll get to meet other industry leaders, captains, government officials, people that can make our dreams become a reality. There are going to be various panel sessions, discussions, networking, item 7, and of course you get a chance to meet people who hopefully share your vision and your dreams. So I want us to walk away on day 1 with this mandate that you collect the contacts of at least 10 other people. Are we in agreement? All in favor say aye. A bit louder. Please give the person next to you a high five and say, let's get this show on the road. While we get ready for our first session, I want to say a big thank you to each and everyone for being here this morning. As you well know, with events of this magnitude, I will acknowledge as we go on through the course of the day. And I have been told that we do have a number of dignitaries in the house to recognize. But I think first things first, let's give a round of applause to the team for putting this together. 5 years in a row. Please, a bit louder, a bit louder. We have I've been told now, the head of civil service of the Federation in Nigeria, in the person of Mrs. Didi Esther Wolson-Jack, OONMNI. Thank you very much for being here, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, I need the energy up. We also want to acknowledge the presence of everyone in this room. Like I mentioned earlier on, during the course of today, we will acknowledge and recognize as we proceed. We are far spent for time, and I have been given the mandate to make sure that we move the program along as quickly as possible so we can achieve as much as possible. At this juncture, I want to say once again, thank you to each and every one of you. Welcome to ASIS Day 1. Look forward to Day 2, Day 3. And I'll hand over to my co-host with the voice, Lord Frank. Over to you, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to give the opening remarks, please do make welcome the head of civil service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Esther Walson-Jack, OON-MNI. Please, let's give her a warm round of applause as we usher her into day one of the Africa Social Impact Summit 2026. Let's do much better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to scream, feel free to make some noise. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to join you at the Africa Social Impact Summit 2026. I understand that this summit is about financing for development. As the head of the civil service, whenever I hear the word financing, I immediately become very attentive. Because in government, a beautiful idea without funding may remain a beautiful memo for a very long time. However, the truth is that money alone is not enough. Even the best funded idea requires capable institutions, committed people, effective partnerships, and disciplined implementation if it is to produce meaningful results. I therefore warmly commend Sterling One Foundation, the Africa Social Impact Initiative, the United Nations System in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, and all the public, private, philanthropic, and development partners whose collective efforts have made this important gathering possible. I think it's a good place to clap. I also warmly welcome our international guests to Lagos, one of Africa's most dynamic centers of enterprise, innovation, culture, and creativity. The strong representation of the federal government at this summit is significant. And so here we have honorable ministers, permanent secretaries, directors general, and chief executives of government institutions who are participating alongside senior federal and state government officials. Our presence demonstrates the importance the government attaches to the conversations, partnerships, and commitments that will emerge from this gathering. The theme, Financing for Development, Building Resilience and Transforming Emerging Economies, is timely and compelling. Across Africa, governments are working to meet increasing expectations for quality education, accessible healthcare, employment opportunities, food security, digital inclusion, climate resilience, and social protection. At the same time, traditional development financing models are under growing pressure. The question before us, therefore, is not only how to mobilize more capital, it is how to ensure that every naira, every dollar, or other resource mobilized is translated into measurable improvements in the lives of our people. Financing for development must be supported by institutions that can plan effectively implement efficiently, coordinate partnerships, manage resources transparently, and account for results. This is where the civil service becomes indispensable. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the federal government is implementing reforms to strengthen the economy, improve the investment environment, build resilient institutions, and create sustainable opportunities for Nigerians. The Federal Civil Service is the principal machinery through which these government policies and programs are translated into action. We are therefore repositioning the service to become more professional, digitally enabled, innovative, performance-driven, accountable, and citizen-centered. Through the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan, we have advanced reforms in capability development, performance management, digitalization, innovation, talent management, and staff welfare. At the heart of these reforms are our epic values: efficiency, productivity, incorruptibility, and citizen-centeredness. However, we do recognize that government cannot deliver transformation all by itself. Our reform journey has been strengthened by purposeful partnerships with the private sector, civil society, philanthropic organizations, development institutions, and of course, international partners. Our collaboration with the United Nations system, including the United Nations Development Program, the UN Women, the iGimokwe Foundation, and so many others, continues to support institutional strengthening, leadership development, gender inclusion, capacity building, and improved service delivery. These partnerships have contributed significantly to public sector leadership development, institutional capability, and the emergence of a new generation of reform-minded public servants. And I can tell you, you will meet some of them right here in this conference. Through several other partnerships, we are drawing on global expertise, technology, innovation, and knowledge, while ensuring that our reforms remain nationally owned and responsive to the realities of our people. The recently concluded International Civil Service Conference 2026, which held in Lagos in the month of May, hosted under the theme Reforms, Resilience, and Results, further demonstrated the power of partnership. The conference brought together public servants, political leaders, international institutions, development partners, private sector organizations, academics, and innovators to exchange knowledge and identify practical solutions to the challenges confronting public administration. Its message was clear: resilient nations require resilient institutions, and resilient institutions require capable, ethical, and committed people. Our partnerships are therefore not ceremonial. They are instruments for delivery. We welcome partnerships that improve the capacity of public officers, accelerate digital transformation, strengthen data and performance management systems, support innovation, promote inclusion, and enable government to deliver faster, simpler, and more accessible services. We are particularly interested in partners who are prepared to work through and strengthen public institutions, transfer knowledge, build local capacity, and support solutions that can continue long after individual projects and funding cycles have ended. The program of this summit reflects the interconnected nature of Africa's development priorities. It brings together discussions on health, education, strategic philanthropy, youth entrepreneurship, artificial intelligence, gender-responsive financing, creative industries, agriculture, climate action, infrastructure, displacement, and sustainable capital. These issues cannot be addressed in isolation. And I would let you know that a healthy child is better prepared to learn. An educated young person is better equipped to innovate and participate in the economy. A productive economy generates the resources required to finance public services. Climate resilience protects lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. Strong institutions provide the environment in which all these outcomes can be sustained. This is why partnership must move beyond isolated projects towards coordinated and scalable solutions. Government, therefore, must provide policy direction, regulatory certainty, coordination, and accountability. The private sector must bring investment, innovation, expertise, and efficiency. Philanthropic organizations must provide catalytic capital to test new approaches and support areas in which conventional financing may be reluctant to engage. Development institutions can provide technical expertise, knowledge, and risk-sharing mechanisms. When these capabilities are aligned around clearly defined outcomes, partnership becomes transformative. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Africa does not lack ideas. We do not lack talent. We do not lack ambition. Across the continent, public servants, entrepreneurs, researchers, community leaders, and young innovators are developing solutions to our most persistent challenges. What we often require is the financing, institutional support, and collaborative framework needed to move these solutions from promising pilots to sustainable national and continental scale. The Africa Social Impact Summit must therefore be a place where ideas meet capital, where public priorities meet private sector capability, where philanthropy meets credible implementation systems, and where conversations are converted into measurable commitments. That is how we move from intention to impact. The Federal Civil Service is open and ready for partnerships that will help us deliver better services to the Nigerian people. Our ultimate measure of success It's not the number of policies issued, conferences attended, or agreements signed. It is whether the citizen experiences government differently through quicker services, clearer processes, greater transparency, better opportunities, and improved quality of life. At this juncture, I congratulate the organizers and thank them and their partners on the convening of this summit. I encourage us to use these days not merely to exchange ideas, but to build relationships of trust, agree on practical actions, and establish partnerships that will endure. In conclusion, Africa's development must be financed with purpose. Our institutions must be strengthened for effective delivery. Resilience must be built, opportunities expanded, and a better future secured for our people. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, please once again a round of applause. I don't know, is the energy or is it just me? Thank you very much for that, man. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation of Nigeria, Mrs. Didi Esther Walton-Jack, OONMNI. Very insightful, and I think it speaks to the essence of what we're going to achieve today, not what we want to achieve today. On that note, I also want to take this time to welcome those online who are watching. Great to have you here with us. Just drop an emoji so that we know where you are watching from. It could be the country, it could also be the state if you're here, or wherever you are. Please just let us know so we can give you a quick shout out. Like I mentioned earlier on, a number of activities, panel sessions this morning. And the whole idea is to shed light, inform, and most importantly, set the framework for what we'll be doing for the next 3 days. And the theme for this year speaks specifically to what we are here for, which is financing for development. I would also want to take this time to acknowledge the work put together by Sterling One Foundation. And if you've been following the story, let me just get a quick pulse here. How many of you were here for the first edition? Just signify by raising up your hand. Thank you. So $1 million to you. $1 million, fantastic. How many of you were for the second edition? Second edition? Okay, we're getting one. Third edition? Fantastic. Fourth, don't worry, raise up your hand. There might or might not be a cash reward. Fifth edition. I think that's everyone here. So please give yourselves a round of applause. And I want to take this time to specially recognize and acknowledge the presence of the CEO of Sterling One Foundation, the captain, the leader in charge, the woman who has taken this as a sole responsibility. It's a passion. It's a labor of love, but more importantly, her love for Africa. Please let us take this moment to acknowledge the presence and say a big thank you to the one and only Olakweju Ibekwe. She's a bit shy, so please make the applause very loud. Please make it loud. She's covering her face. Just to say thank you very much, Ma, and thank you for not giving up. 5 years of anything is quite a task. Not to talk of gathering over 50 1,000 people. We have about 50 speakers collectively, 50 countries and more represented here today. So thank you very much, and to the team. Also want to acknowledge the presence of the CEO, Quality Education Development Associates, in the person of Dr. Nuruddin Lawal. Please just, he's here, I was just told. So if I call your name, please just let me know. Unfortunately, I do not know everyone face to face. We also have the Executive Secretary, recognizing and acknowledging the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Federal Ministry of Education, the person of Hajia Aisha Garba. Thank you very much as well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first session this morning, and quite an impactful one, if I must say. It's basically, we want to set the stage and get the ball rolling. And if you do hear your name, please do make your way to the podium on the stage. So this is ASIS at 5, and of course, talking about partnerships that inspire. And this session is set to explore the transformative role of partnerships and the private sector investment, strengthening Africa's health systems and improving access to quality healthcare. But the long and short of this is we have taken the time and the effort to gather the best minds, the best partners, and those who have been very consistent with their contributions to what we're about to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, please do make welcome our first panelist this morning, the Executive Director, MTN Foundation, in the person of Odunayo Sonia. I've been told that ASIS are really very energetic people, lovely people. They show a lot of love. If this was a Spain versus Argentina match, I know you'll all be shouting. So this is our own. So let's make some noise for them as they make their way up. We also have the Head of Policy, Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. Please do make welcome Dr. Anne Ene Ada Ogo. So like I mentioned earlier on, one thing we also want to acknowledge, as you all know, they are representatives of the government here, is that government face the increasing pressure to meet the growing healthcare demands. And we all know how important healthcare is, no matter it is what you do, how much money you make, what it is that you love doing. The idea is to do it with a sound mind and good health. And this is one of the fundamental responsibilities of the government as well. And we want to delve more into this and see how we can move past the challenges and do better. We also have okay, so a lot of updates are coming in. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. So I think I'll just kick off with this session. And we do have a community beneficiary in the house. Unfortunately, we haven't confirmed if he or she is here. So if you're here, please make your way up to the front of the stage to join us as well. So please, can we have the, okay, there we go. So I'll introduce them. Okay, there we go. Okay, Babajide Adeniga, are you here, please? Okay, Babajide Adenike is here, fantastic. And we have officially our first baby at ASIS on the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where you say, "Aww." And this is not an excuse for you to go and, it takes about 9 months so that by next year you now bring your own baby. So I think I will cede the floor. This job is now very difficult for me because this is such a cute baby. No, the all part has passed. So I'll cede the floor very quickly. I'll moderate from here. We just wanted to get confirmation that they were here. Apologies on that. So we have the Executive Director, MTN Foundation, in the person of Oduanya Sonia. So I'll just cede the floor to you, Ma, to just give us a bit of context, because this has been something that you have been championing through the foundation. So I'll just cede the floor to you. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, Oscar, and good morning again to everyone who has made out time to be here. At the MTN Foundation, so I'll just give a short brief. The MTN Foundation is MTN Nigeria. So how many MTN customers are here? Great. So you know what, this morning, I'd like you to give yourselves a resounding round of applause. Thank you, and thank you again. And I'll tell you the reason. You may not know, but you have been other people's Santa Claus. You have been the answers to their prayers, and I'll tell you. So the MTN Foundation was set up in 2004 by MTN Nigeria. MTN is 25 years in Nigeria this year. The foundation is 22. And it was born out of our firm belief that we're only as good as the communities that we operate in are as good. And so we do business through the lens of purpose. Now, MTN funds the foundation. For 22 years, MTN has solely funded the foundation by 1% of its annual profit after tax. So now you understand that we couldn't have done it without you. So every year we get 1% of MTN's annual profit after tax. And our areas of focus are health. Healthcare is key, capacity building, and also economic empowerment. So we fund these three things. And in 22 years, MTN has been able to invest a little over 32 billion naira in, you can clap if you want to clap, thank you, in 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And we have touched almost 3,500 communities in Nigeria, and we have impacted 530 local governments in Nigeria. Now, why we're here this morning, we believe that partnership, we always say it, that partnership, with partnerships, our 1 + 1 is 10, is really not 2. And so for us, it's a lot, and we haven't done this alone. We've done this with the support of government, you know, with various parastatals in government. We've worked together. We've done this with the support of even the private sector, because a lot of times we talk about the public-private sector partnerships, but we tend to forget that there's still the big opportunity for the private-private sector partnerships. And so a few years ago, we started working with PISHAN. PISHAN is the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. And as part of our health initiatives at the foundation, we will normally go into primary healthcare centers, and we will upgrade the primary healthcare centers. And we've done about 220 primary healthcare centers. But by the time we started working with PISHAN, we wanted to do more, but we needed it to be more sustainable, because at times we'll go back 3 years after, you can't recognize those places. And so we signed an MOU with PISHAN, and they brought in their own expertise. And that year, this was about 2 years ago, we were going to invest about circa 2.7 to 3 billion in revitalizing about 49 primary healthcare centers. Now, when we speak about revitalizing the primary healthcare centers, it's a lot. So it's about fixing the facility. Some people won't go to a primary healthcare center because it's totally dilapidated. So we fix up, you know, give the facility a facelift. In the 49 primary healthcare centers we were going to fix, only one had water. And so we had to then install 48 solar-powered boreholes, because you can't get healthcare without water. And the good thing is that as much as the facility got water, there were outlets to the community. So it was a dual implementation for the community and for the healthcare centers. We had to train the healthcare workers, swap out the equipment with new ones. We enrolled them on the National Drug Revolving Fund scheme, and we also gave them alternative power because, so we do a lot of work in remote communities, and there was a day we were wondering what they were doing at night. Everybody had their flashlights on, their phone flashlights, but guess what? It was a baby they were birthing. And so you find that there was need for power beyond electricity. So we would also complement with alternative power. And so through our partnerships, we've been able to do 49 under that partnership.
Fantastic.
And please clap. And I think we'll talk about the numbers later. So that's why we're here, to just showcase what it is when we work together. To show that there are people like you and I, like Mrs. Adenike here, who eventually benefit. She has a beautiful baby when we come together. And people like the matron of one of the primary health care centers in Apapa, who have a job and enjoy doing what they do because they are equipped. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oduayo. Thank you so much for that. That's just to give you context. We're going to have our moderator for this session, but I want us to turn our attention to the multimedia screen because everything she said, if you see it, I think it sends the message home even stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the multimedia screen.
In rural Nigeria, only 1 in 8 pregnant women has access to proper medical assistance. Fewer than 4 in 10 pregnant women have access to the full 4 recommended antenatal visits. The local primary health centers play a critical role in bridging that gap.
For millions of mothers and babies, getting health care is not the normal thing.
The biggest challenges we're facing, even to attend to patients, it's like you don't know what you are doing because you don't have the medical tools to attend to patients.
In my first pregnancy, I came here to register. Immediately I saw the hospital, I was like scared. This place is so local, it's like a native place that cannot give birth here. We went out to far away hospital, and at times, we don't even have money to transport ourselves to the hospital. So when we are coming back, we'll trek.
Before, I suffer even to get water, to get good bed, sleep, we not get bed. We want to do tests now, we transport, go inside camp. Before you even see doctor, just you go delay. If you go 10 before you come back around 2 to 3, and even I don't get enough money to take it there. If you want this scanning now, so you go suffer before you do them.
When NTN came on board, in fact, everything just changed. They renovated part of the facility, like the maternity ward and also the delivery ward too.
You just enter the hospital. The way you even be safe, you like can. If you want to use yourself, what are they? Good bed, bed sheet, everything just change. But I'm telling people not change every year like this.
I got pregnant. I came here to register, and everything was fine. At times, exercise is normal, down to delivering time. Everything was so fine. There is no stress because I deliver in the night, so there is no need of looking for a bike, looking for a car to take me to the hospital. I just trek here.
On behalf of the staff here, we appreciate what MTN did to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that deserves another round of applause. Thank you, MTN. So this has to do with healthcare, and the last time I checked, I really wasn't a qualified doctor. But we do have a qualified doctor in the house. He's the CEO of ABC Health. Ladies and gentlemen, to moderate this session and give us a bit more context and life from the point of view of a doctor as well, please make welcome Dr. Maurice Atoki on stage. Over to you, Dr. Maurice.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony, and good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. To the Sterling One Foundation, thank you for having me, even though it was quite a short notice, but I really do appreciate that we've been called again to do this. I'm going to dig right in, and we must also appreciate that Oduayo gave us a bit of background on what really is going on, so setting the context. Thank you for doing that. Should make my work easier. So I'm going to go again to Madam Oduayo. Oh, please. I understand that there are also panel members that are virtually connected. Do we still have them?
Yes, we do. We're trying to connect them, but you can go ahead with those on the stage for now.
Excellent. So we have two individuals who are also joining virtually. Nwagu Primary Healthcare Center, represented by Madam Ngozi Veronica, and also Zuba Primary Healthcare Center, represented by Madam Aishatu Shaibu. I don't recall that we also introduced properly Mrs. Fala Imuduke, who is here with me, the officer in charge at Apapa PHC. Please, a round of applause for all of them when they eventually join. As I mentioned, my work is a bit easier, having set the tone already. I'm going to dig right into the questions, and I'm going to go back to Oduayo to give us a bit more context about what you consider to be what you being a corporate especially, and you know that I find what you're doing incredibly remarkable. What other corporates can take away from here in all of the work and partnership you've had and you're still having with the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. What messaging would you like to give the rest of us? What can we do better? What should we do less of in terms of advancing healthcare in the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris. So I will say that for the private sector, there's a lot to be done. And yes, private sector pay taxes and we do that. But I think we need to step beyond that. I think we need to, at the MTN Foundation, we call it corporate social investments, because we actually do measure. There's a return on the investment, howbeit not financial returns. But I think the private sector needs to come together. We're very well positioned. We've done this, for instance, during COVID, and it's something we should keep doing. And I always say at the foundation, we're just creating a playbook. There's so many other organizations doing a lot of work. But we need to come together to enable us scale that work, and in a short period of time. So coming together, pulling into deeper partnerships, organizing ourselves will enable us go further. So that's one. And I think you asked, what do we stop doing? I think we should stop our silos. We need to break down the walls. We need to come together and also cast a vision of Nigeria that the private sector wants to see. Because at the end of the day, we're going to hire people. So if we're hiring people, are we contributing to educating them? Are we contributing to healthcare? Are we strengthening healthcare? So I think breaking silos but working a lot more together will take us farther than where we are now.
Absolutely. A round of applause for Madam Oduayo for those contributions. I'm going to quickly go to Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann is the Director of Policy of the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, representing a lot of not-for-profits here, like myself. So I'm very pleased that you're here, and we have our voices covered. So to you, it's what message would you like to give to the rest of us? What, in your experience in dealings with the MTN Foundation, as a coalition of corporates and other foundations, what would you say to us that can make a significant difference in the way that we do things and in our partnerships with the likes of corporates like MTN going forward?
Thank you very much, Dr. Atoki. And I think I'll just piggy right back on what Odwayo just said. The role that patient brings to the table is that of an aggregator, that helps to look beyond one organization and see how the coordination can be more effective, and also see how we can demonstrate impact for every investment. And so what working with an organization like Patient does is seeing the different strengths within the different corporate bodies we have in the private sector, and seeing how we can encourage all of the complementarities of effort. If we are able to achieve that, as we have seen through the Adopted Primary Healthcare Facility where we're working with the MTN Foundation, we are also working with other corporate bodies. Together we have been able to have a plan that will adopt one primary health care across 774 local government area in Nigeria. What that has shown to us very clearly is that not one organization can provide sustainable financing for health. So it's important that there is a coordination at the middle to ensure that we achieve efficiencies of scale and enhance value across the entire health ecosystem. So if we must continue to support the government of Nigeria to improve health outcomes, coordination is not negotiable. Being able to demonstrate results for impact is key for every investment that's made. Because if you get funds from the organized private sector, it's important to communicate to them what results that investment has made. And that's what remains a key to continued interest by the private sector. And so I would, okay?
Absolutely, please, a round of applause for all. If you were paying a bit of attention, she's told us what we must do and how we must go about securing funding from the likes of MTN. If you were paying a bit of attention, you would have known how to engage MTN better. Here's a round of applause again for Dr. Ann for those remarkable comments of how Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria is going about their dealings with MTN Foundation. I'm going to go, last but not the least, to the beneficiary, but to you, ma'am. Would you like to share with us, as some of the people standing at the very forefront, what are your experiences like on dealing directly with government? Now this is private sector and this is a coalition of other private sectors. What are your experiences like?
Good morning, everyone. From my facility, they came, they said they want to come and, some will come, you will not see, they will not come back. So this time around they came, they said MTN Foundation. I said MTN Foundation, okay, let's see what they can do for us. They asked us our problem. Let's start from the water. It's not that we don't have water, we have water, but it's just like a Fanta. That's the problem that we have. So it's changed everything to red in my facility, and we can't use it. So if you're on night duty, you have to go and buy water, get water that you use to bath or use to do anything that we want to do in our facility. So when they came, they did not even give us ordinary bowl, drinkable water, which you can give to the community, which community
can we all jointly applaud
beneficiary from
MTN in partnership with Patient for those
benefiting from it,
interventions?
Then the second one is the solar. They asked us, we are asking them, are you going to give us gel? Because we are expecting gel. They said, no, they are giving us solar. I was like, solar facility. Let's see. Truly, they came with a lot of panel. They gave us panel. We don't even ask for light, because before then, we have a lot, different type of torchlights, rechargeable lamp. That's what you use at night. Yes, if you have a labor case, that's what we use at my facility. My facility is just like a rural area, but we call it urban rural, or what are they calling it? Yes, that's the facility. So we use rechargeable lamp. We use all those one at night. But when they came, they installed solar for us, and we are using solar 24/7. 24/7.
Thank you for those
Yes.
applauses.
And apart from that, they changed our couch, delivery couch. What we are using to take delivery, they changed it for us. They gave us the quality one. When they say quality, they gave us quality one. Their renovation is just massive. It's something you can see and say, well done, MTN Foundation. Every day, that's what I used to say. I say, thanks to MTN Foundation. Yes, they really try. They gave us many instruments. Before, my instrument in my working place, it's not that we don't sterilize this. We have a different type of sterilization. But this particular one, we get a pot. So we put our instrument inside, we boil it. But when they came, they gave us a autoclave machine. And that was we use now to sterilize all our instruments. They changed a lot of things in my working
Let's
place.
applaud
They
for
gave us
applauding.
adult weighing scale, children weighing scale. They gave a lot of things in my working place.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to MTN Foundation. Thank you, ma. God bless you, ma.
Thank you, Madam Modukwe. Thank you, MTN Foundation, and thank you to Pishan. I mean, it's good to re-echo our realities in the so-called rural urban settings, and some of the things we take for granted here in Lagos that is absolutely not accessible in those places. Thank you for sharing your testimonials with us, Madam Modukwe. I'm now going to go to another beneficiary, a direct beneficiary, of course, Mrs. Babajide Adenike. Yes. We can all see, I mean, life, her baby. We just want to hear from her. What does this even mean to you? And how has this experience been? What changed from what you used to know before and what you know now?
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Babajide Adenike. So what happened was when I had my first child at Olojomo PHC, there was no, they have water, but the water was so
draw the
bad.
mic closer.
Water was so bad that we had to get pure water before I can take my bath, before they can sterilize. That we have, and I went into labor around 3 a.m. in the morning. So there was no light. My husband had to bring gen. There was no way we could connect the generator. They had to use torchlight. So I was like, what kind of experience is this? My first child. So after then, so when I got pregnant with this baby, my mother-in-law was like, Olojomo is improved. I said, no, I cannot use that place. She was like, okay, let's go together. I said, no, that place, I cannot use it. That place is worse. I prefer private hospital. So my mother-in-law, so one of my friends gave birth at Olojomo PAC. So I would go to work in the morning. I was like, let me go and greet her in the night. When I entered, there was light. I say, wow. There is light here. She said that she was here since morning, that they have light, that she was charging her phone. Her phone is on. I say, your phone is 100%. Okay, I say, okay, let me try. And when I registered, everything was going smoothly. I could use their water. I was so happy. So thanks to MTN
Yes, if
Foundation.
we're applauding, I think we're all sunk in emotionally hearing you. We thank you for sharing those very important moments with us. And maybe before we close, it's just also to hold a caveat out there. I am not a medical doctor. I just happen to be a critical stakeholder in the health space. Like the founders of my organization, Alhaji Aliko Dangote and Mr. Aigboje Mokwede. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the African Business Coalition for Health. I thank you for this wonderful session. I hope we've all heard something and we can take away one or two things from what we've learned about the partnership between MTN Foundation and the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. Are the virtual participants still around, or do we just call it ended? Please, a round of applause once again for this distinguished panelists. If we may please rise up.
Thank you very much once again. Please, a round of applause. Let's just get a quick photo up. Multimedia. Photographers, anyone? If you want to get the pictures, so let's get that done. Please, let's give them a round of applause. And of course, to MTN as well. I've been told by MTN Foundation, if you have an MTN line, you will be credited. You will be credited with good joy and prosperity. Do I hear an amen? Thank you very much for that enlightening session. Once again, for those joining us, great to have you. Please, a round of applause. Thank you so much for that. So once again, for those of you online, great to have you with us. This summit, 5th edition, Financing for Development is a theme, as co-convened by Sterling One Foundation and, of course, the United Nations Nigeria, in collaboration with very strategic partners committed to advancing the SDGs through practical and measurable action. You just heard from MTN Foundation and its partners. I don't know how much more measurable and impactful that can be, because you've seen the proof, and the proof of the pudding is in the what? Maybe I should have used maybe a pap or something else. All right, so still ahead, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to quickly take this time to acknowledge the presence of other partners here with us. In no particular order, we have the Honorable Minister for State. We have the Honorable Minister of State for Education in the person of Professor Shuaiba Said Ahmad. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Please just, thank you for being here, Ma. Please stand up for recognition. Great to have you with us. We also have the Honorable State Minister of Finance of the Republic of Sudan joining us here this morning, Mr. Mohammed Noor Abdel Daim. Thank you so much for being here, sir. We made reference to partners. We have the presence of IMF in the house, in the person of the ED of Africa West, Mr. Wautobna Ouattara from the African West rep. He's been represented today by Dr. Afolabi Olowokere from the IMF. Thank you so much for being here as well. You'll get to hear from them in a couple of minutes. How's everyone feeling so far? Give the person next to you a high five and say, it's time to get to work. Don't forget that we agreed we're going to get at least 10 contacts from this room. So how many of you have your contacts ready? Have you made 1, 2 contacts, 3? If you have 3 contacts, let me see your hands up. 4 contacts? 5? Okay, so we have time. I'll take a count as well. You never know, I might be rewarding you. You never know. All right, so still ahead, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and those of us joining online, we have yet another session as we move into the next phase. This is about financing for development. That's the Africa Capital allocation. And this is a session that is set for, well, I like to say set the tone for this particular discourse. And we have very ably represented representatives of various partners of this particular event. Now, against the backdrop of evolving global financing landscapes, there has been an evolution. If you've been following the news, finance, some would say, is like a river and it flows. Most of the time it flows to where it's most needed. But how do we tap into that? How do we make sure that we position ourselves as individuals and as a movement to ensure we get the financing that we need? In no particular order, to be part of this panel session, please, if you do hear your name, just step up. We'd like to make welcome the head Nigerian Infrastructure Fund, NIF, in the person of Mr. Pius Anyado. We also have the alternate executive director, International Monetary Fund, mentioned earlier on just now, Mr. Afolabi Olowokere, PhD. The Vice President, Africa, Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, in the person of Ms. Henrietta Bankole Olushina. Thank you so much for being here. Also not forgetting the co-founder, managing partner, Trans-Sahara Investment Corporation, and doubles as the chairman, African Venture Philanthropy Alliance. Here, please, a round of applause. Let's just encourage them. We also have the associate director investing in West Africa, that's Acumen, in the person of Bowofade Elegbede. Thank you so much for being here as well. To moderate this session, we have the Special Advisor to the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Nigeria in the person of Bolaji Onolaja to moderate this. Please, a round of applause. So as they get settled, we would want to crave your indulgence, please, to ensure that your phone is on silent. Make sure you have all your personal belongings with you at all times. Please do try to minimize movement as this event is streaming live, and we'll want those who are not physically present to enjoy this as well. And at that juncture, I will hand over to our moderator, Bolaji Onolaja.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing very well this morning. Welcome to welcome to this panel discussion, and I think we're ready. We'll go right into it. So we've had a fantastic morning so far. Thank you very much to Sterling One Foundation for organizing this fantastic event. Traditional development assistance has become increasingly constrained. A lot of donors are reprioritizing domestic spending, and a lot has shifted in the development cooperation world. At the same time, we have rising debt, tighter global financial conditions, and increasing competition for international investment. In view of these contexts that have been set, it's clear that it presents both challenges and opportunities for Africa and Nigeria, more specifically. So the context of this conversation is to dwell right into that. It's not about just raising more money, but it's a conversation about mobilizing smarter capital and allocating it more strategically. So I think I'll start with an opening question across board, and you can all give your respective responses before I go into the individual questions. So the first one is, why does Africa continue to attract only a small share of global investment, and what must fundamentally change if the continent is to finance its development ambitions by 2035? We have a varying panel here today, so everyone would